Hi everyone, this is Wendy. Today's tutorial video, I'm going to show you how to foil inside curves. And you've seen me work on this project in two other videos. In one, I had shown you how I cut all the glass out. And then in another, I had shown you how I ground it all, ground and fitted. Today, rather than boring you with watching me foil every piece, I'm going to show you how to do some inside curves. And adjust my camera here. All right, we're going to work on the crescent moon, this piece with two inside curves, and then this piece also. And before we get started, a couple things I want to discuss. When it comes to foiling, I've learned over the years it's better to foil in a room that's not so humid and maybe a time of day or day that isn't so humid. I've learned 70% or less is best, or if you have the option of having air conditioning, that helps out greatly. If you work in a room or maybe basement that is damp, it's always good to have a dehumidifier going. All right. I have my foil dispenser. In my dispenser, other than the scallop foil, all my foils are 7/32 inch wide. My first roll is regular copper, and then I have my silverback and black-backed. I've got my fid. I have a little pair of scissors, and then I also have my razor blade. Razor blade comes in handy on any spots you need to cut off some excess foil. You should know well enough when you're considering what type of foil to use. You can look at what finish you're going to leave your piece with. This sun catcher, I'm going to leave silver. And so with our glass that is a little bit more transparent, where you'll be able to see the underside of your foil, you don't want it to clash with the finish you're going to put on your finished project. So I'm leaving it silver. So with this wispy white, I'm going to use silver-backed foil. I'm going to pull out my silver and get it started. Now with inside curves, it's always best to start and stop your foil in the curve. That way when you go to press it down, you're less likely to have any tear or breakage of the foil. It'll be less stress on that foil. And so when it wants to shift and give, it'll go one direction or another rather than ripping the foil. And sometimes it's easier to show you how to do something than to explain it. So let's get this piece foiled and I'll show you what I mean. Now I just use this regular foil dispenser. I've tried different hand foilers and table foilers. It might have been just me. I never was able to do very well. I was always taking and refoiling the pieces. The foil wouldn't turn out as nice as I wanted to, centered well enough. You know what I mean. And I always got frustrated. So I like to use just a basic dispenser. I can pull my foil out straight and I can just center the glass on it, looking down both sides of the glass. I'm trying to keep it within camera shot for you here. Get that wrapped around. Now we're going to come back around, turn a little bit, and we're going to get back in that inside curve and meet up with the foil where we started. I'm having difficulty because I'm trying to look in the camera to make sure you're getting a good view. And then I'm also trying to look at what I'm doing with the piece. All right, we overlapped. We'll trim it. I went a little too far. And as long as you haven't pressed your foil down too much yet, you can always pull it back, recenter. All right, let's go with that. Now, I'm going to take and I'm going to push down on that curve from this direction. That's where my foil stops and starts. Press that down and then come back here and press that. And we have a nice foiled curve. You press the rest of it down. When you have sharp points like this, the foil may not seem sharp when it's just sitting, laying flat, but when you have pieces come together like that, the foil can tend to get sharp. Be careful when you press down on that you don't cut your fingertips. All right, that turned out pretty well. Now, there we just had one stop and start. If we had a deeper inside curve, it might be necessary to stop and start twice. Let's say it's a little bit deeper. We start and stop our foil here, come around, and then cut it here. So we have that stop. Start another piece of foil, overlap about 1/4 of an inch, come around, go over where we had started by another 1/4 inch, cut, fit, and then press that down. So we would have a start here, come around, and a cut. Restart, come through the curve, cut, and for the very sharp inside curves like that, then you would have 3 points or 3 sections where the foil would be able to give a little bit more. If you tried doing that in one whole piece without a break, without a cut, then that's just it's going to want to tear. You're taking something flat, our foil's basically flat, and we're putting it on something curved. It's going to give or break somewhere, the foil. So that's why we do it in sections, start and stop, and do the inside curves like that. Now, the opposite of our inside curves are our outside curves. You can see how the foil kind of crinkles up. Well, again, we're putting something flat on something curved. It's got to go somewhere, so it kind of crinkles and folds on itself, more or less. So that's the reason those types of things happen when we're foiling glass. All right, I've got it pressed down. Now let me burnish it with my FID. We have to be careful where our piece has foiled over, where we started and stopped and it's went over. Make sure our FID doesn't catch on that little lip. All right. This is how I hold my FID. Kind of like an apple peeler is how I hold it. All right. Try not to get my fingers in the way so you can see what I'm doing. Press it down. When you want to come in on the glass, that's how you want to press down. You don't want to accidentally push your foil off. So press in on the glass, in on your glass piece. All right, one side done. Let's do our other side. I forgot to mention at the beginning, I started with clean pieces. I made sure they weren't damp and didn't have any grinder dust on them. All right, we got our crescent moon down. that out of the way. All right, let's go on to our piece with the 2 inside curves. All right, this opaque glass, let me get my silver backed out of the way here. The opaque glass is dense enough we can't see the underside of the foil on it, so we can use regular copper. Something else we need to consider, especially with sun catchers, where you have an outer edge, you don't want to start and stop your foil on the outer edge. We want to start and stop it where pieces meet up with other pieces. It ends up, it gives you a nicer finish on the outer edge of your piece, even though after you've soldered it and beaded it, you still know that there's not a weak spot when you have an overlap and start and stop your foil. Start and stop your foil where pieces meet other pieces. All right, on this piece, I'm going to start inside this curve. All right, press that down, get it started. Come around. And I apologize if I seem to be going slow, but I'm looking in the camera, trying to make sure you can see what I'm doing, and then I'm looking back and trying to see what I'm doing. All right, we've come around. I'm going to go ahead and clip the foil where it'll meet up about the middle of that inside curve. All right, and get that pressed down. All right, now we want to restart. We're going to overlap our foil about 1/4 of an inch. Get the rest of that curve. And I don't think I centered it very well. All right, got that pressed down so it's not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to come back and trim. And now we can put the rest of the foil on that inside curve. And it's overlapped a little bit. Okay. I'm going to press it down. Come back here. Press on that part of the curve. Press on this part of the curve, going towards the center. All right. Looks pretty nice. I don't see any tears. Now we'll press the rest of it down. All right. Take my fid and burnish the edges. All right, foil out of the way. Now we'll crimp the edges. I don't think I saw much overlap, or you can see your overlap on the sides. I didn't notice it on the moon, but I'm noticing it on here. You'll see an overlap of foil on the sides from where we stopped and restarted. All right. This is where our razor blade comes in handy. You can see just a tad where the foil's off center from one piece to another. Come in with your razor blade and cut that little bit off. Let's check this curve. That looks okay. Come over on the other side. Yeah, there are little bits. The reason you want to be fussy about this is once there's solder on it, it will be more noticeable. It might not be highly, oh, what I'm doing. There's a little bit of texture on the back of this glass, and my blade's getting stuck in it. All right. It may not be highly noticeable right now, but once you get solder on it, it would be, and you're going to have a harder time trimming it when you've got the solder on it. All right, looks pretty good. Now let's do this last piece. It might not be a tight inside curve, but we're still going to stop and start it, because when you have inside curves, you're still at a risk for that foil tearing. This curve, I'm not going to worry about too much. I don't believe it will tear on me. So we're going to do this piece and start and stop here. And again, the opaque glass, we can use the copper backed. Get your foil on there, press it down so the adhesive holds it for you. All right, come around. My dog is with us in here in my workroom under one of my workbenches. I don't think he fully understands why I'm sitting here talking to myself. But one of these days you'll probably see a shot of Georgie. That's his name. It's another hot, humid day here in Northwest Ohio, and it's nicer to be inside than outside. He has not wasted any of his time on his walks. He's wanted back in. All right. We'll probably have to trim a little bit on this one. I can see that I didn't center well enough. I didn't press too hard. See, lift it back up, put it back down. All right. Crimp that over the edge. This one, I'm going to use the curve of my fingertip and press it down. Finish pressing around the rest of the piece. Careful where these sharp points are. All right. Burnish it down. Work on our edges. We talked earlier about the outside curves and the way the foil kind of crinkles because we're putting something flat on something curved. Once you have that soldered over with your solder beads, you won't be able to see that. All right, you can see where the foil didn't meet up from where I stopped and started. There's a little bit of an overlay. Take our razor and cut that little bit off. If you need to do any foil trimming, it's best to do it now before you start soldering. All right, that looks better. Oh, tiny, tiny little bit on the other side. And there you have it. We have foiled inside curves. Let me go back to my project here. I did not clean all of the glass. You can still see some grinder dust on it. But, and you see I've got more inside curves to work on here. What do you want to bet? I got this put on wrong? When I was grinding, I know, there we go. Put that piece in first. There we go. But you see, I have more inside curves to work on, more foiling to do. And that is how you foil inside curves. I hope I was able to share something with you, that you learned a little bit. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy watching my videos. And if you have any suggestions of some things you would like me to show you, or show how I do things, that's basically what it is. You do you. If I do something a little bit different than you do, that is totally fine. I show you how I do the work and show you the easiest way to remedy some situations. If there's anything you would like me to cover, please comment in the comment section below and let me know what those are. Thank you for watching, and again, please subscribe and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.